Alright, welcome to this review of the Neutron Lab 60% gaming keyboard. I personally got this keyboard because it was roughly £35, which is a decent price, and I wanted to practice some soldering and desoldering and modding, things like that. This video is going to focus on some main points, which are typing sounds, the switches, the RGB lighting, the performance in-game, typing experience, usability, and I'll finish the video with my final thoughts on the keyboard. Alright, as an overview, the keyboard's made by Neutron Lab, which seems to be a brand owned and only sold by eBuyer. They do make some other components like monitors, but other than that there isn't much information available about the company itself. The keyboard is 60% form factor, meaning it has only 60% of the keys compared to a full-size keyboard. I'll link a video to better explain this, keyboard size and things like that. To compare, here's my IKBC F108 keyboard in comparison to the Neutron Lab keyboard. So yeah, it's very small. It only comes with two switch variants, which are Cherry MX Reds and Cherry MX Blues. If you don't know much about switches, I'll link another video to explain. But briefly, red switches are linear switches, so they're smooth all the way down to the bottom of the key. But blue switches have a tactile bump and an audible click when pressed down. I chose red since my main keyboard is blue switches, and I got kind of bored of them. And if you want to do blue switches, you're not really supposed to. In terms of the packaging, it's pretty bare, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they didn't have much protection over the keyboard, which actually is bad. They provide you with a non-braided USB-C cable, which is to be expected, and a keycap puller. The keycap puller itself is really stiff and scratched up some of the keys when I tried to use it. That might just be me being stupid. Moving on to the typing sounds, it's not actually that bad considering it costs £35. They'll sound great to anyone that hasn't used a mechanical keyboard before, but to the keyboard enthusiast, you'll likely want to rip it apart within the first 30 seconds. The stabilizers is probably the worst part. They feel really mushy when you're trying to bottom it out, and in general the keyboard has a ping, like a high-pitched sound after every key press. Here's a sound test for reference. So the RGB lighting is probably the most impressive part. It was really bright, and probably brighter than my main keyboard, which I originally thought was bright. There is no software for the macros or lighting, but I think the manual gives a pretty good rundown of all the different combinations for the keys. The keyboard has 17 different lighting modes and 10-ish different static colors. There are 4 different speeds for the effects and 4 different brightness levels. The colors are easy to change with the FN plus hash key, and yeah, overall this is really impressive. In terms of the in-game performance, there isn't really much to say. It performed well, just like a standard mechanical keyboard. The red switches have a lower activation force and a faster accuracy and speed than my blues, but I didn't really notice much of a difference. But of course it's obviously better than a standard membrane keyboard. I didn't get any fatigue while gaming or typing. I did find it was nice to play without the tactile bump, and I think I prefer the linear switch a lot now. And I also appreciated the increased desk space that I had, because my main keyboard does take up quite a lot of space. I saved the typing experience for last since I typed up the whole script for this video using this keyboard. The switches are unlubed, or if they are factory lubed, they're not done very well, and they're quite scratchy. Like I said before, the stabilizer is probably the worst part. There's a lot of rattle and it's quite mushy when you bottom it out, but it wasn't really a surprise since the keyboard was fairly inexpensive. or a budget option at least. In terms of the form factor, it did take some getting used to, but I think I cracked it within the first hour-ish. It's really small, but if you're used to it, you'll have no problem with that. To conclude and have my final thoughts, really, I think for £35 you're getting quite a lot. Well, actually, you're not really getting much, it's kind of featureless, but you know, for a 60% keyboard with Cherry Max Reds and some really good RGB lighting, I think it's a really great bang for your buck keyboard. Of course, it's nothing fancy, there's no braided cable, and if you want the dedicated media keys or function keys, you're gonna have to look elsewhere, because I can't recommend this to you. It's 60%, it's small, it has basically nothing, but you know, if you don't mind 60% keyboards, then yeah, this would be really great. So yeah, this just concludes the video. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Feel free to like, subscribe, and if you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike, I can't see them anyway. I'll answer any questions you have in the comments, and I'm always open to suggestions on my videos. But other than that, have a nice day.